Cheers.
Got a nice ring to it.
Interesting.
Kerfuffle.
Yeah.
That is with a gong.
Not bad. First up, the Eagles, of course, squaring off against the Jags at Wembley Stadium, right here on NFL Network and only on NFL Network on Sunday. Both teams had high expectations, guys, heading into the year, but they're off to some rough starts. Whose fans have a bigger case of collywobbles?
Okay, do you want to define the collywobble?
Not really. Just take it.
I feel like
doesn't sound good.
It makes them nervous.
I don't want the collywobbles.
A little nervous, like when you hit me with the Mr. Bean sign.
Ah, got you. A little uneasiness.
Yeah.
I will say the Jags fans, because when you win a Super Bowl, you have time to kind of come down, and Peter Schrager has talked about this over the last few weeks. You know, they're on a Super Bowl hangover, and so are the fans. But when it comes to the Jags, though, they don't have a hangover. What do they have? A little bit of success that they're leaning on from last year. And I remember a few weeks ago I said, don't remind yourself of who you used to be. Not last season, but the previous seasons. If you're the Jags fans, if you're the Jags players, you're sitting there saying, the more we remind ourselves of the bad Jags teams, the more we become that. And I think the fans are sitting back saying, I just hope these guys don't fall into that space. So I feel like the fans for the Jags have a bigger case of the collywobbles.
I'm going to double down with Nate here. I think there's kind of an inferiority thing with the Jaguars. They're the 32nd market. We don't give them enough attention. And finally, you earned it, right? Like, you finally got there. You can't deny a team that goes to the AFC Championship and has this great bravado and this wonderful personality in the locker room like Jalen Ramsey. You don't get that if you don't win. And I think the fans are starting to feel that. We hear from Jaguars fans, both here in the UK and at home in the States, saying, you don't talk about our team enough, you don't talk about our team enough. If you're not a winning team, you're not relevant. You have to win to be discussed. The Eagles are going to be talked about forever. They've been around for many, many decades, and they've got a really strong fan base that's been established for generations. The Jaguars fans, I think they're a little bit on edge. They might have a case of the collywobbles?
Collywobbles.
A case of the collywobbles this week.
I'm going to go the other way.
Casey Kasem, back to the countdown.
Well, where are you going?
Well, look, if I'm a Jags fan, Blake Bortles is playing really poorly and Leonard Fournette's hurt. There's a kind of a certainty on that. What gives me the collywobbles is not knowing what's wrong. And if I'm an Eagles fan, I'm saying, what the hell's going on here? This is supposed to be the next step in our dynasty. Never mind getting a Super Bowl. We're supposed to win another one. And I think it's fair to ask at this point, how much do they miss DiFilippo and Reich? They scored 17 points last week at home. 17 points. We got caught up in the comeback. The final score, you can't win in the NFL with 17 points. I don't care how good your defense is. And their defense isn't that good. So we have these fans coming in here and storming London from Philadelphia. There is a very terrified time that we were a one-hit wonder, that we caught the right thing at the right time in the backup and the dog mask, and we're going to be one of these teams that we forget about that went one and done because the offense ain't there. Carson Wentz is healthy. He's great. What's the problem? I don't know. That gives me the collywobbles.
If you go back to August and July, when you had a lot of confidence in this team personally, and so do, of course, all the Eagle fans, do you feel like you understated what the missing of those two dudes missing was going to do?
Yeah. Because I said, you look at the rosters and they got everybody back. Not only they got everybody back, they added people. But you lose those guys. DiFilippo's doing great. Rice got the thing going. Doug Peterson, it's time to coach him up, maybe. Yeah.
Moving on here, next up, both Drew Brees and Kirk Cousins off to incredible starts. Which quarterbacks had the most gobsmacking situation performance so far this season? Of course, the Saints and the Vikings. This is the game I've got circled and highlighted on my calendar. These two facing each other on Sunday. Who's been most impressive? That's what gobsmacking means.
Gobsmacking is
the everlasting gobsmacker, right?
Yeah. How would Rich Schroeder say it?
Right.
Gobsmacking.
That's our producer, Rich. Big Vikings fan, so I'm going to go with him on this one. Kirk Cousins. Cousins had these high expectations and said, well, can he do what he's got to do? Can he get them? They've now won a few games in a row, and I think that loss to the Bills at home kind of was good for the Vikings. Get rid of that. Exhaust that loss. Get done with it. Flush it out in September. We'd rather you lose that game then than a game in New York where everyone was picking the Jets because the Jets had won 2 in a row, and they blew them out of their own building. So I'm going to say Kirk Cousins. I think there were high expectations. Everyone knows what you're getting from Drew Brees, and he's lived up to it. Kirk Cousins, there were a lot of question marks, and I think he is exceeding expectations.
Does everybody know what they're getting in Drew Brees? I think maybe the fans that love football and know his history assume that he's going to play well, but coming into the season, he was another older quarterback. He didn't have one of his running backs there. Of course, he can't guard Mike, but that was about it. And then we expect them to have one of the best percentages of quarterback to receiver over the first parts of the year, and then breaking record after record, still doing it. And I don't care if people want to argue the fact that it's a different game and they're passing more and you can't touch the wide receivers. He still lights out. So for me, it is Drew Brees. I feel like Drew Brees has overexceeded expectations. Every year we talk about the legends of the game, and it seems like every year he forces us to talk about him because we want to talk about Brady. We want to talk about what Peyton Manning was, and we want to talk about, because he's in kind of this purgatory. We talk about Brady because he's the GOAT, and then we talk about all the guys that are coming up next, right? Who is it? Well, remember it was Luck for a while?
Sure, of course.
And then all of a sudden it was Deshaun Watson
I remember
last
for a
year.
year it was Dak Prescott.
Dak Prescott, Wentz, all these guys. I feel like Drew Brees is like, wait a minute. First of all, stop talking about these young dudes that can't even sniff at my stats, and stop mentioning Brady like his numbers are as good as mine.
Check me out.
He might have more rings, but I got more stats.
It's Breeze, in my opinion. I totally agree with you, Nate. And it's not just because he is breaking records, which he did it last year with that 72% completion percentage. He's doing it this year and beating it. He's over 77% completion percentage.
That's out of control.
It is insane to me that his 18th season in the NFL is his best season in the NFL. He's having the best season of his entire life, which is sort of wild to me. How many picks does he have, Hamilton? Oh, 0. Yes, 0.
That is awesome.
That's ridiculous.
Look, there's no doubt that Drew Brees is greater than Kirk Cousins, probably even better. But more impressive, Kirk Cousins is in his infancy in his relationship with Stephon Diggs and Adam Thielen. Drew Brees has been working with Kamara and Kankar. Man, he shows up Cousins out of nowhere and is rewriting his team's record book. The fact that he's so new and has already hit his stride, I'm going to go Cousins.
Love that. Finally, Britain's been the home of so many legendary musical acts, but let's focus on the 80s, baby. Between the Police and Genesis, which group is top of the pops, guys? And I think that probably means top of the pops.
I'll jump right in. And now there's some gaps.
Look at Collins.
In my musical Rolodex. And Police.
Those images first.
Police and Genesis, not really in my wheelhouse.
NWA did a song about the Police, right? Yes.
Yeah.
Every breath you take was first the Police.
Okay, I didn't realize that. So
Didn't he sample that?
Yes.
Before the show, I was like, you know what, I'm going to just pick Genesis because it's my favorite
So you gotta
video
go
game
Police
system.
now.
Yeah. Nate, there's the rankings of the genocide go like this. There's the gaming system, and then the book, and then the band. I am a big Police guy. Canary in a coal mine, I'll go deep tracks for you. A power trio, too. I always respect only a 3-person band. And we're not including the Phil Collins solo work, which should include In the Air Tonight. Genesis does not get to
Nor are
represent
we counting
Police.
the Police.
Book of Genesis over Genesis?
Sure.
All right.
Yeah.
The Sting solo career was nice, but this is the 35th anniversary of Synchronicity, which is one of the greatest albums
Talk
ever.
about it.
Which you got Every Breath You Take, and you get obviously King of Pain, all these great songs. And to me, the Police, they sold out Wembley 4 times. This is the coolest thing.
Go on.
This is the thing. That album is
me
one of
up.
the greatest albums ever, 1983. They were at such ends with each other, a group of 3 guys. They wouldn't talk to each other while they're making it. They had to record their parts separately in different parts of the studio, and the producer put it all together, and it's one of the greatest rock bands ever. They never toured again for probably 20 more years until they had a reunion tour. In 2008, they broke every concert touring record because they were back together. Police! I love a good reunion, and I love Sting.
And I love Kerfuffle Thursday. That wraps it up for us. So Nate and I think that the best receiver in the National Football League is?
DeAndre Hopkins.
Yeah, so which player does he not even